Hello, everybody. I'm Ben Schiller from Maiden, and welcome to Privacy Podcast. And I hope you're having a good day. I'm joined by a very special guest today. This is Muthu from Ligero.
Hi, Ben. Thanks for inviting me. I'm Muthu, CEO, co-founder of Ligero. I'm a professor at Georgetown University, been on leave for the last 2 years, trying to do something with zero-knowledge proofs at Ligero.
Good. So just if you haven't seen the Privacy Podcast before, this is where we interview some of the pioneers of the new privacy space, particularly in ZK, and Muthu definitely fits into that category. So let's get into it. All right. So Muthu, how did you get into this? I mean, you were working at Georgetown, you're a professor there. What made you want to start a company to develop some of the technology you've been working on?
My entry into cryptography started as an undergrad. I had a professor who, his name is Pandurangan, who taught me cryptography. And, you get fascinated with cryptography the moment you learn it. But when I moved to start my PhD, I started doing privacy more than cryptography, and I can make the distinction of what that means. But quickly, I think I switched back, and then it was cryptography. I started working with a professor who had just joined Cornell. His name is Rafael Paz. His advisor was Silvio Micali, one of the founders of Zero Knowledge Proofs. And I remember first meetings with him, and he explained to me Zero Knowledge Proofs. And I think the rest is history. You just fall in love with zero knowledge once you understand what it means. And for your listeners, I'd say, please look up any YouTube video by either Shafi Goldwasser or Silvio Micali, explain zero knowledge proofs, and I will guarantee that it will change your world. I got into zero knowledge proofs, secure multi-party computation. Zero knowledge proofs are more than just what it can do. Actually, it laid the foundations of modern cryptography. It laid the foundations of how you can define security, how you can define what is leaked, what is protected. It's about definition, like strong mathematical rigorous foundations for defining security. My first decade of research was very theoretical. I would say that none of those papers I had written in mind thinking that they were going to be implemented. They were feasibility. Can we do this? Can we achieve this security definition or not? And of course, we were exploring the boundaries of zero knowledge proofs. In one of these works, we wanted to explore the efficiency boundary of a multi-party computation protocol. It needed a zero knowledge proof with certain properties. And we published that work, and soon after, my student back then, my PhD student, Scott Ames, said, this looks like something that we could implement. It was around the time that Zcash had come, and they had this challenge of how to do a trusted setup. And he said, hey, let me try implementing it. And that was Ligero. And I think my research portfolio changed right after that. I got more into implementation, and also there's this thing that is in your head that, hey, people talk about cryptography, about even pure science, that, hey, what's the practical application? And now that it was gaining adoption, of course, thanks to blockchain, thanks to Zcash, I thought that this could be a place where we could do something. And I mean, I didn't have any clue. I didn't have any experience before. My co-founder, Kermit Hazai, was also an academic. We both said, okay, let's try something. And that was the birth of Ligero.
And so, I mean, academia is a very different world from the cutthroat world of business. How do you bridge that gap between those two things?
Great. In academia, we're about proving theorems, privacy, correctness, integrity, under clean assumptions, clean models. You step into real systems, this breaks, right? You have memory constraints, latency, developer complexity, user experience. These are the things that you are thinking about. Zero knowledge proofs are powerful. It was useful in Zcash in these settings, but it goes beyond that, but it still was in a lab. And of course, I'm making a distinction here between zero knowledge and Starks in terms of what properties they bring over here. The industry responded by, hey, let's do these on a server. And of course, they were trying to scale. so came prover networks, etc. There were beautiful applications that came out of these things. But it reintroduced the one thing that zero knowledge was trying to eliminate, which was trust. So what we realized is that the missing piece was not like about making these provers faster on a cloud. It was about bringing that back to the user. When we published Ligero, again, it was a clean abstraction of a zero-knowledge proof. I would say that we hadn't thought about memory constraints, implementation, and so forth. But since then, of course, this is what we've paid more attention to. And I think we're right now at a point where these systems, you don't have to trust anyone else. You can finally deploy these privacy in a system that runs from your device. And of course, I'm going to tell more about like how this can also give you compliance. And I think that's kind of the bridge for me from theory to systems.
Right. Can we just backtrack just a little bit? Because you mentioned the proving being done on the device, and that's obviously crucial for privacy. How is that different from other forms of ZK technology, and why does that ensure privacy?
Zero knowledge proofs are about proving some kind of predicate compliance condition of data. Now you can ask, is this data public or is this data private? Now, if this data is already public, the zero knowledge proof system doesn't on its own provide anything, right? Anyone who wants to verify this piece of information can just verify on their own. They have the public piece of data. This could be transactions in a blockchain. They can do it. What adds value there is that can I verify these things faster? And that's another property which is called succinct verification, or Starks and Snarks. But zero knowledge is about, hey, can I verify information about something that I want to protect? Can I reveal that I am past an age threshold without revealing my exact birth date? That's a classic example of, can I use a zero knowledge proof to demonstrate that? And now you should ask, where is this data sitting? And typically when you want to prove it, it is sitting on the device where you have put all the protections, right? All the firewalls where this you're protecting the sensitive information. So you want, if you created such a proof system, you don't want the sensitive information to leave that firewall. And you want to generate these proofs from that. And this can be your phone, can be your laptop, can be your or iPad. And now this completely changes the dimension of what you want to optimize in your zero knowledge proof systems. The first being memory, of course, but also that you have to be efficient, you have to be succinct, and so forth. So for privacy applications, this is what you want to think about. You want to be able to generate these proofs from the device where the sensitive information is sitting. And in the blockchain setting, your wallet and your identification, all of these are on your device. And that could range from a mobile phone to a laptop.
So how much of a step change, how much of a kind of re-architecting of the network is a client-side proving model? What does that change about how we experience blockchain systems?
That's actually a great question, because we are living in this world where you want to offer privacy. I mean, this is something that many of the users don't realize they need it. I mean, because leaking this information down the line in mass amounts on a public space is going to have catastrophic consequences. But at the same time, to tell them, hey, you need to wait another second, or you need to install another wallet, or you need to move to another network, adds to the user's experience, right? So we are living in this trade-off. One of the philosophies, at least we are trying to think about in Ligero, is it possible to keep the same experience while providing this privacy? And it's an interesting landscape of trade-offs that one needs to make. The one that we don't want to make is, on privacy, on speed. And we're trying for that.
Right. Because, I mean, that has been traditionally a hurdle for privacy tech, that it's seen as more complicated and adding extra steps to people's experience. So that's something we need to correct for, presumably, going forward.
And Absolutely. And I want to say we are not the only ones doing this, right? And I think this is amazing about the space of blockchains, Maiden included. And there are wonderful technologies that are optimizing precisely for this. I want to say if you had asked me this question a couple of years back, it wasn't there. But I think now it has changed. And privacy is what people are focusing on. And it's clear why this is the case, because there is more traditional finance coming into the space. There is regulation that is helping bring their technology, bring their knowledge to blockchains where things have evolved on its own. And when it comes to this point, the next question is privacy. Right? I mean, you are living, for people in the traditional finance, they know what they have to do, and they've been doing this all along. But when you want to bring this to blockchains, right now, this is not available in the form that is consumable by TradFi. And I think the need is going to come sooner than most people think.
And why do you think? I mean, it's sort of strange to me that we would spend 10 years developing technology that is not really right for what is arguably the main user group for this technology, i.e., financial companies. How is it that we've developed public blockchains that are not private?
No, great. I cannot pass off as a historian or a philosopher here, but I will say that it's on what you optimize. Right? I think blockchain was born out of the need for decentralization, for being permissionless. It was a revolution. The things that they were trying to optimize aren't the ones that when people think, hey, I'm going to build a financial system from scratch, what do I think? Right? I mean, if you're going to build a financial system from scratch, you're going to start thinking, okay, what are the governments? What's jurisdiction? What is regulation? What's compliance? Right? And I think blockchains have shown what they can provide and what value they can bring in to the social lives of people. And I think now traditional finance and blockchain finance, I'm not treating them as different, but they need to unify into one system, which means that the constraints from both need to be taken into account.
All right, so we talked about the roadblock of usability. I mean, another big roadblock to privacy is there's traditionally been this trade-off between auditability, i.e. the ability of somebody to look inside a system for money laundering or criminal activity or terrorism, and that need for self-sovereignty or privacy. How does a ZK-based system like Ligero finally break that trade-off? How can we have auditability and also have privacy?
I'd like to take credit that Ligero can solve this, but the truth is zero knowledge proofs can, right? This is really what they have been built for. And as we said at the beginning, zero knowledge is about, I have some sensitive information and I want to prove something about it. And that something that I want to prove about it can be compliance. The something that I want to prove about it can be how much asset I hold. One will let you transact, the other will let you to say that you are allowed to transact. So the same zero knowledge proof that allows you to do private transactions also provides compliance. Now, of course, the million or the $1 billion question is, how can you build this in a composable way with this ecosystem that we have built? Right? There is, as you said, there is this blockchain ecosystem as well as there is traditional finance. How are we going to bring these two worlds together? At Ligero, the way we are thinking about it is that there is a short-term thinking and a long-term thinking. I think the short-term thinking is about, I want to be compliant with regulations today. Yes, I think I would bet on that some form of a Clarity Act is going to come, and this is going to be great for the industry. But at the same time, I want to say that about self-sovereign compliance, and so forth, it's going to take time before regulation is going to be comfortable with it. But we can build this technology where, yes, we will have to make some trade-offs in centralization of auditability to get to that point in the interim, in the short term. And if we get there, I will bet that in the long term, we will get to the goal of where we don't need a third party to audit. Because once we show that these compliance conditions can be done at the user level at the point of when the transaction is generated, you will see that it is efficient. Right. And once you see this efficiency and like, hey, why is there this auditor when there is not much work that needs to be done there? Right. It will go to the point where we can become self-sovereign. So to me, that point is really that people don't see it yet, but you're going to be efficient because you're going to have this self-sovereign compliance. Simple for me is that, now actually in the US, in many states, you do have a mobile driver's license. You don't have to show all your details to the TSA agent when you get it. Like you can just use the app and it just gives the relevant information to get it. And that's going to make lines process faster. Maybe a more relevant discussion a month back. But I think this sovereign compliance to me is both, it benefits, privacy, security, because there's going to be less holding of data where it should not be. But also the other end is that it's going to be more efficient, which again, blockchains have also shown other metrics of efficiency, but doing this privacy and compliance in an efficient, embedding it into the flow in a self-sovereign way is about efficiency.
Right. I mean, do you feel that regulators and people that are concerned with policy are getting that idea? Because it really is a paradigm shift. And, how long will it take us to get to that kind of self-sovereign compliance idea? And will the regulators allow it? I mean, we're kind of developing these systems without that assurance at the moment.
I live in Washington, D.C., and of course, I get an opportunity to meet meet regulators, meet people who are actually seriously thinking about this. What I will say, of course, in the last couple of years, there's been significant interest. People want to learn, people understand. I mean, as the SEC, Paul Atkins has told numerous times how zero-knowledge proofs are going to be helpful in this space where we can bring privacy without compromising compliance. What I think is that regulators will be more comfortable accepting these technology when industry comes first. And this has been typically with technology this way. And on that vein, I think when you ask, has there been adoption beyond this realm of zero knowledge proofs? I think Google adopting this technology to prove identity, I think is a big step. When I talk to regulators and talk to others, and when I mention this, I mean, their tone really, you can see the change in their tone, because for them, a big industry adopting is the step they are waiting for, right? Because when a big company like Google adopts such a technology, I mean, they've gone through the process of picking a good technology, safe technology, secure technology. They understand what has gone through it. So I think they are there. But there needs to be more industry adoption. And of course, I think the blockchain is like really pioneering the space of zero knowledge proofs, and more so with Ethereum. But I think the regulators are getting there.
Good. All right. Well, you brought up Google, and that was actually going to be my next question. And you didn't mention that Google had actually chosen your technology, not any old technology. Just talk through how that partnership came about and how formative is it for the future of ZK? I mean, Google adopting ZK, that's a big deal.
I need to switch my hats from my company hat to my academic hat, because Ligero being used as part of the Google's identity stack, I think goes to the academic publication that my co-authors and I did back in 2017. From what I know and from the publications, they explored all the different technologies. They had to fit certain constraints. And these constraints were, it needs to run on an Android phone. I mean, of course, Google was trying out on Android phones, but they didn't expect these phones to be powerful. They needed it to be single-threaded. And also they had restrictions on how big the proof sizes could be. Right. So there was speed. It needed to run within 1 to 2 seconds. It needed to run single threaded, and it needed to have small proofs. And based on the space that they explored from Starks, Aurora, Ligero, they actually came up with a clever combination of Ligero and GKR. And that met their constraints. They used the Ligero polynomial commitment scheme, combined it with how GKR processes constraints. That I would say it's more like, I mean, every academic wants that, right? Like you want your technology being adopted mainstream, and it was great to see that Ligero fit the bill for what they were looking for.
How has this partnership, a very high profile company, how has that made things easier for you? That must really give you some assurance and affirmation for what you're doing.
Without a doubt. I'll say that the conversations we have had since have become, it has gone to the next step, right? Prior to that, with enterprises, with regulators, it was like, zero knowledge proofs was used in Zcash, and, there are questions around these things. But when Google came out with their technology, now they're looking past it and they're asking, hey, what use cases are we going to build with this? And that was a clear shift. I mean, with anyone we were talking to, it was like an overnight shift, right? So that's why it comes to, I mean, to me, it is clear that we do need a more broader scale of adoption of this technology for everyone to get more comfortable.
Right. So if somebody downloads a Google Wallet and they have a digital driving license, will they be using the Hero proof when they do that?
Today, I think, yes, in the United States, this will be the case. But I am hoping that they do adopt zero knowledge. Doesn't have to be what Google built, doesn't have to be Ligero. But I do hope that even EU is looking into how to prove these things. So is the United States. But I do hope that they adopt zero knowledge. I think this is going to be useful for zero knowledge, for science, for the industry, for blockchains. I think this is going to be important and useful. And of course, if I could say every phone is running a Ligero proof, that would bring joy to me too. So.
Right. And of course, ZK proofs are not just for crypto. I mean, people associate them with blockchains and crypto, but this has a much wider application than that.
Without a doubt. However, I have to give incredible credit to the blockchain space as an academic first. I mean, of course, I'm trying to run a company as well, because in the first decade of being a professor teaching these things, I mean, I love zero knowledge. I'll passionately, teach about this, but now it's a whole other thing. It's, how much we can bring it to reality, that we can show what zero knowledge can bring. And blockchains really provide this vehicle. And of course, private transactions is one part of it, but it really, there is the scope of what zero knowledge can be useful is much, much beyond that.
All right, I just want to talk about some of the institutional or commercial use cases for zero knowledge. What do you see as apart from identity and what we've just been talking about with the Google Wallet, what do you see as the first use cases for privacy infrastructure like this?
Maybe I'll start with blockchain, and I'll say a little bit about what we are excited about, and also a use case that we are trying to develop at Ligero. And this is with respect to payroll. Now, it's easy for most people to understand that you want payments in a payroll system to remain private. You don't want to know how much someone is earning, how much wealth someone is accumulating. So it's easy to understand when we use payment systems on chain where things are transparent, where your wallet accounts are transparent. If you are going to receive payroll payments in it, then it's going to you want to keep it hidden. I mean, if I go and make a payment to someone, and of course, people have heard these stories, when they look back at your account, they're going to know how much wealthy you are. And that's a security risk, but also something that you don't want to know. And there are challenges even beyond that. There are regulations that talk about these things. So for us, I think payroll is a clean use case that I think most people understand why privacy needs to be there, and also understand that now with the rise of stablecoins in the last 2 or even 3 years, that this is going to be the future. People are going to use stable coins on chain to make payroll payments. And for us, I will also say that this payroll combines like both the requirement of privacy, but also a powerful feature of blockchain, which is about composability, which doesn't happen today. Today, when I get, my salary, and let's say that I want to take portion of it, invest it, I move it from one bank to another. I've KYC'd in these places. It takes time. It takes 3 days to go from one to another. And then I do these allocations that, based on whatever strategy I want to. But on chain, all of this can be automated. All of this can be instantaneous. And I think combining that with payroll is going to provide something that Web 2 doesn't have, right? It is going to be that wedge that you're going to get you're going to get Web 2 users. Hey, like I need to receive it in stablecoin because now I can swap it. Either I'll put it in a lending protocol or a vault, or I will exchange it for a real world asset like a money market fund. Imagine like Wisdom Tree or Benji or Biddle that will instantly generate yield, and whenever I want, I can swap it back to stable coins and do what I want with it. Uh, so this is something that I'm very excited about. I think it's an initial use case that we can get most people excited, and something that where we can deliver both the benefits of our technology with privacy as well as what blockchain's great for.
So by having a private stable coin, you're opening up this world of composable investing, I guess you'd call it. Yeah.
Yeah. The way we model it is, just imagine that with our technology, you can get an account that will allow you to operate it in a way that will hide your identity. So whatever you do with your bank account, you can trade, you can do these things. You can just do it much more easier on blockchain if you can compose it with existing DeFi protocol.
All right, so we don't have too much time. I just wanted to ask you where you see the space moving forward. Obviously, things, a lot has changed since you first came up with the paper in 2017. But how would you see this in 3 to 5 years' time? I mean, presumably you would see widespread adoption of ZK in every facet of what we do online.
Without a doubt. I have no doubt that this is going to have an exponential adoption in blockchain, but I also hope beyond that. Once we see how it solves identity, even at a basic level with your driver's license or your digital ID, people are going to see how we can use this to protect our information while still making it useful. Coming back to blockchains, I do think that it's going to be an important component of most networks. And I think there's going to be both the public side of it as well as the private side of it. And I think we're going to see technology mature where this is just going to seamlessly compose with each other.
Sorry, you were saying both the public and the private side of it. Well, what do you mean by that?
So there are going to be imagine a scenario where you're like B2C, right? I mean, one end of it probably can be public, the customer side of it can be private. And what I was trying to say is that these use cases are also going to coexist with all that is there in the blockchain today.
Right. So there's going to be a complementarity between these private systems and the public systems.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see that the public systems are just going to go away. I think that there are going to be parts of it where privacy is going to be crucial, that is going to be adopted. But that being said, I'm going to say that I will also bet or not bet that, I mean, these technologies are going to get so fast. I mean, there are so many brilliant people working on zero knowledge proofs, on cryptography, which really amazes me that this technology could get just to a point where, yes, everything is just private and it just works as smooth, as fast as anything else that you would imagine.
Right. Interesting. Okay, last question. If there's one thing people don't know about ZK and privacy, what would you like to tell them?
I have maybe a cynical take, but I want to say that we as academics, I mean, we are trying to study cryptography, security, privacy. I don't want to say that zero knowledge solves everything, right? Or that I know privacy. I don't want to say that the systems we're building is fully private. I want to say we are still understanding what full privacy means, because privacy is about what it means in the context. What are you trying to hide? And if you hear existing systems saying it's fully private, please take it with a grain of salt, right? And I do want to say that there are academics who are working, who are thinking, we as well, how to give meaningful privacy, quantifiable privacy in the space.
It's almost like we need a new language or a new way of thinking about this, because the word privacy is such an absolute word in people's minds. It's either private or not private. But in these new systems, there's a whole sort of layering of privacy that could mean different things in different contexts, for instance.
And have different implications.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Muthu. That's Muthu from Ligero. And we'll definitely be watching your work. And, we have a project with Maiden as well. So that's going to be great to work on it. Thanks very much for your time today.
Thanks, Ben.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. That was great. That was Muthu from Ligero, and I think it was really interesting to hear how he thinks that ZK technology, which is obviously pretty esoteric and pretty niche, or at least was, is going to become really a mainstream thing. And it's not just a blockchain thing, but an all internet thing. And I think this idea of client-side proving is really going to take off across a number of fields. I want to give a shout out to my producer here. That's Michelle Musso from Musso Media. She does a terrific job on this podcast. And to my folks at Maiden. And we'll be back next week with a new pioneer from the privacy space. So stay tuned.